get a lot of free crap from listeners, and I love that.
Yeah, I made a
But
mistake with my two shows. I get nothing for mine because there's nothing to give. I just literally get nothing.
yeah, the thing is, when you have like a niche audience, like they love to give you their stuff. Like people have sent me, like Mike Beloy sent me some really cool stuff. I'm like, do you really want to get rid of this? But you know, but the weird thing is too is I like to share back. So I mean, I've given away some stuff. It's just a good feeling. It's fun. But Danny, you got your podcast. Let's plug your podcast while we're on here because you have a habit of posting about them but not putting their name on there.
Yeah,
Which I,
it feels weird because I'm asking, personal questions, so to turn it into promotion feels like, I don't know, a little icky to me. So I try to keep like promotion and the question separate. But yeah, it's
yeah, but even on the music one though, the music one you do, you'll be like, "Hey, we're going to be covering this, and that, blah blah blah," and then you don't put the name of the
that
podcast.
one
So
I
they're like,
should do. Yeah.
"Yes, yes." But he does one called Feel Feelings, which I was a guest on, and
Yeah.
I'm the great Eric Todd, Hollywood Eric Todd. So you wouldn't want to listen to that. I've been on blanketing covers though too, haven't I?
Yeah, you were on the Black Sabbath one, I believe, early on.
Black Sabbath one, right? And that is what they do is they'll take either a song or a band and talk about the covers of those songs or those bands,
Yeah, finding
right?
all different genres and different artists and styles. And, a lot of the times it's John bringing me stuff that I don't necessarily like. And he's like, how about this way? And usually you find one or two that's like, oh, okay, I see the merit of this song now after hearing it in a way that, is more palatable to me.
Right. And you have to promote a little bit. I need to promote a little bit. In fact, I'm going to talk a little bit about this in my introduction right here. It's This Week in Charles Bronson, a highly uncalled for news and pop culture program that revolves around one community's top secret fandom group of Charles Bronson. And why do I call it top secret? I'm going to tell you why I say it's top secret because we have thousands of social media followers, but yet we only have a little over 100 subscribers. People, you got to subscribe to this podcast. You have to subscribe on YouTube. You have to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You have to review it. You have to say something nice about it. It's free. You got to get your family members involved. You got to make up fake statuses on Facebook of dead relatives and have them subscribe to the show. People, every night in America, a young child goes to sleep hungry, not knowing who Charles Bronson is. All over the country, animals are left out in the cold, dying, malnourished, and they have no hero to come to them like Charles Bronson did in Death Hunt, or even when or how he did with the cat in Hard Times. You can help a child. You can help a lonely, sick animal by just subscribing to this podcast. People, when Jesus comes back to judge the living and the dead, he's going to be looking for that This Week at Charles Bronson subscription. When Muhammad gets ready that brothel, that room, that harem of 72 virgins for you, he's going to be looking for that This Week in Charles Bronson podcast. Ain't that right, Brother Brad? When Abraham returns to the mountain to take his chosen people to wherever they go, he's going to be looking, Zion, he's going to be looking for that This Week in Charles Bronson podcast subscription. So please do the right thing because what happens, people, is it's not because I want to make a ton of money. I would love to be able to quit my job and all that. But what happens is when you have a lot of subscribers, you get a lot more attention. And then we get better guests. Who's a better guest than Henry Brooks? Nobody. You're right. You're absolutely right. But Henry Brooks is a really nice kid. Jan Gann Boyd is a really nice woman. Lindsay Ireland is a really nice woman. But there's people out there like Lee Purcell. Her agent wants to know how many subscribers we have. I'm looking to trying to get you Kathleen Wilhoit. You know what I mean? Some of these people I have to talk to an agent. And yeah, I'm Hollywood Eric Todd. I got the shirt. I got that's all I got. I got some stuff here. But we need those subscribers, okay? And this week we have a very special guest. This is a young man. I believe he's 18 or 19 now, but when he was in high school, he wrote a musical called Charles Bronson More Than a Vigilante, the musical. He's been on the show before, but now the album has dropped. The soundtrack is dropped on Spotify. And I want to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to the what's that called when somebody the phenom, prodigy, the
Yeah.
prodigy of Bronson enlightenment, Henry Brooks.
Hey, how's it going? I'm glad to be back. Yeah, the album is just dropped, and there should be a physical cover coming out sometime in February.
That was going to be my first question because I was wondering where the physical one is. I think now when that physical one comes out, is there going to be a lot more fanfare and a lot more because I don't I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't see a lot about it on the internet. And I really want to be a part of making this huge, making this a big thing because
Thanks.
this is a good musical and it's very important to us as Charles Bronson fans. So you think there's going to be a bigger launch when the physical copy comes out?
Yeah, I would assume so. But yeah, if you can find the album on Spotify and Apple Music currently, even on TikTok too.
Oh, it's on TikTok. I'm gonna have to look for it on there.
Yeah,
I am.
no one's used the sound yet, but hey, time will tell.
One
Right,
question
right.
I have, Henry, is like I've listened to it like three times, like
Wow.
starting last night, and I've listened to it before. I listened to it back a few months ago, and then I've listened to it again. Like I can go out on YouTube and pull it up. I'm just curious about that. I'm wanting to support your project, and I'm wanting to make sure that it's successful for you. But I want to buy I want to buy it. It's what I want to do to support this.
Right.
But I was listening to it on YouTube, for free, and so I'm just curious about that. How can we support this project to make sure that I was telling my wife this morning, this is some awesome stuff. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, I have had the best time listening to this. I've laughed. I mean, there's times when y'all say things like round tree, and I just laugh every time I hear it.
I was
And
thinking the same thing
it's just
earlier
some
today. I
good
was like,
stuff.
Roundtree,
And
wow.
I almost feel guilty listening to it on YouTube because I want to buy the thing. So what can I do to help you out here?
Well, I appreciate that. I really do appreciate you listening, whether you buy it or not. But if you're interested, I think as soon as the album comes out, like the physical copy in February, there will be opportunities to purchase it.
Okay,
But
okay, like a
I was
record.
thinking that. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
Well, I was just say like a record. I love the idea of Bronson on a record. Will there be like
Yeah.
vinyl?
Yeah. So yeah, I think something
Uh,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay,
collect records, so I'll be excited about that. And I was thinking the same thing as Brad. I was wondering, like, you can get the whole thing for free, and that's not the best business practice. If you do want to sell it eventually, is it that you're not nobody's concerned about money? Is this a labor of love? Like what is the reason why there's like why is the reason that we're getting the whole thing for free right now on YouTube?
Well, truthfully, we're just trying to spread the message about Charles Bronson. We're not
Right.
really in it for the money. I mean, eventually I'll have to make a living, but again, this is more just trying to show that he's more than the vigilante, and we're not trying to exploit, his whole life for money.
Yeah, and I think it's great because we've talked about this on the last episode, but that's basically the goal of this podcast too, is to show that he's more than the Death Wish films, more than the canon films. And what I like about this is a classic musical because first of all, it's great music. I'm a big fan of musicals. I'm a big fan of um, people that write like the music of like that kind of music, like like not just musicals, but big acts like Polyphonic Spree or Van Dyke Parks, a lot of the Beatles, Dr. Pepper, Sergeant Pepper type stuff. So I really like a big orchestrated, like sing along type of thing. And what's great about this musical is you combine truths about Charles Bronson, and you take artistic license at the same time. But you also you pick and choose what truths and you pick and choose what artistic license to take in a very subtle way to not make it exploitive, to not make it's funny, but yet it's not poking fun at Bronson, which I believe I've never seen somebody actually successfully do that. I feel like The Simpsons or
Yeah.
Mad TV or any or In Living Color. It's always a making fun of Charles Bronson. It's almost as if people have this disrespect, like they almost like they feel like, oh, all he did was these violent films and that he wasn't more than that. And you, like much like our podcast, your musical is there is artistic license to make it funny. There's artistic license that we'll talk about a little bit later that give it a little bit of a social commentary, but put you don't you don't insult Bronson, you don't make fun of Bronson, and you don't take too much artistic license where you're not really giving a truthful story of Bronson. And how important was that for you as the writer?
Honestly, I think it was very important because again, I wanted people to take him seriously. I mean, yeah, we want people, to kind of laugh, but like this whole thing, like it's not a joke. Like this is like who he truly was. We're trying to show who like he was as a person as opposed to like how people perceive him. So it was actually I'd say it was a priority for me.
Well,
Gotcha.
I know as a Bronson fan, I don't like to feel like Bronson's being made fun of. And like I said, I've listened to this thing multiple times, and I just think it's great. I really do. And as a fan of his, I truly appreciate that you are so respectful to him, but still have fun with him and his image. I just think that I think you were able to walk that balance. You were able to balance that so well to make it entertaining, funny, and still true to Bronson as a
Mhm.
as a person. And I think that's important to his fans, and I'm sure it's important to his family and people that care about him as well. So
Yeah, I know his family is still alive, and I mean, regardless, I was never trying to make this a joke, but I'm just trying to, clarify that this is not a joke, and I'm actually
mm-mm,
I'm praising this guy.
that's right.
Now, do you think any of the people working with you are taking it as a joke?
That's a good question. I don't think so because everybody seemed to be taking the job seriously. I mean, I think we had a few fans, but like no one really like perceived as like in Living Color or SNL sketch of Charles Bronson like that you see Jim Carrey do. Nah.
And I think it's okay. Basically, it's okay if people find it humorous because there is humor in it. And one of the things that I want to talk about is Steven Weber and his voice of Charles Bronson. So I find when people do a Charles Bronson impersonation, they often do this, "They, my baby," and it sounds like Jackie Mason, or they do this thing that almost sounds like he's from Chicago, like, "Hey, uh, you dirtbag." I don't know. I'm not. And at first, there are little pockets of that in Steven Weber's impersonation, but for the most part, his impersonation is pretty subtle, and I feel like it is actually pretty. It's humorous because it has to be. Like you have to, uh, in a entertaining way. There's two kinds of impersonators. There's the kind that do like that try to capture the actual subtleness of the people. Those impersonators are amazing. I'll give you an example. Dave Thomas doing Bob Hope on SCTV. But then there's the impersonation where they exaggerate things for comedic effect. Steven Weber exaggerates for comedic effect, but just enough. Like he doesn't overdo it. And
Oh, for sure.
I really appreciate that because it drives me nuts. This imperson like Jim Carrey. We'll go to Living Color. You dirtbag. I'm gonna shoot you. Like he doesn't sound like that. That's ridiculous. Weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, honestly, we were so lucky to get Steven Weber because he did a great Bronson impression, but he didn't overdo it. He didn't make it seem like it was a joke. Like when I saw him rehearsing, I could really like see and hear that he was in it, and he just wasn't just putting on an act and just making fun of him.
You know,
One
he might be
question.
one of the greatest. No, I'm sorry, Brad, to cut you off. He might be one of the greatest, most, but at the same time, overlooked entertainers of our time. Steven Weber's he's very entertaining. He's very funny, and I've
Yeah.
seen him. I'm watching a show with my wife right now. It's a teenager show. Me and my wife think we're teenagers still, where he plays the principal of a high school, and he's really good, and it's really good at that. And I want to laugh sometimes, but it's a serious role. But there's just something I look at him, and I see his face, and I think of how funny he is, and he's even funny on Instagram because I follow him on there.
Yes, yeah.
And what a what a great what a an amazing get to have for that, like Steven Weber. That's great. I mean, I'm not. He is very well respected, very well loved, but I really feel like he should be almost high, even held even at a higher regard than he is.
Yeah, in a way, kind of like Bronson. Like they're both overlooked, but they're such great actors. But what is the name of this show? Because I'm gonna have to check it out.
Oh,
Where he's
Is
the
it
principal.
13,
it says the
13
13
reasons.
reasons why? Yeah.
Yeah, 13 reasons why. It's
But
like,
yeah, not funny.
no, it's not funny at all. And it's like good. And then at times it's really bad. And it's like, he kind of like, I almost feel like I have to find him, even though he's not trying to be funny. Like, I just seeing him takes it's a very serious subject matter. So seeing him kind of takes the edge off, like, oh, good, there's Steven Weber. Like, I know he's not trying to be funny, but it's just making me happy to see him.
Yeah,
In fact,
he puts a smile on your face without being a joke.
Yeah.
exactly.
Do you remember him in a movie called Single White Female? He do you,
I've,
if
Oh,
act-
y'all if
I've
y'all
actually
remember
never
that one.
seen that, but
I saw
honestly,
that in the theater.
I have to see
no,
more of
that
his
one's
work.
hilarious.
Yeah. Single White Female is a movie with Jennifer Jason Lee and um uh, Bridget
Rebecca De
Fonda,
Mornay?
and
Oh,
Jennifer
Bridget
Jason Lee
Fonda?
kind of stalks her and kind of like does her hair like her and everything. But Steven has a very interesting scene in that movie. The way they get rid of him is pretty interesting, and it stands out, and I've thought about it my entire life since I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater too. It's been a while. For some reason, I thought it was Rebecca De Mornay, but it's
No,
Bridget Fonda.
it's
Yeah, it's
Bridget
Bridget
Fonda.
Fonda. Yeah.
She makes me
Is
Rebecca
that
De
Henry
Mornay.
Fonda's daughter?
Bridget,
Peter
I think it's
Fonda's daughter.
Peter. I
Peter?
think it's Peter Fonda's
So
daughter.
I
Henry
literally
Fonda,
just looked it up the other day.
Hmm.
Henry Fonda's granddaughter.
Oh,
Yes,
got it.
yes, yes.
You want to know something funny? Is single
Yeah.
white female is one of those things that people still say. Like if someone comes to work like with the same haircut as like another person, like, oh look, it's single white Brenda or something. And people know what it means, but yet they didn't see the movie. Like it's
That's
funny.
right. Yeah. One thing I was going to ask you to kind of follow up. Now, when we talked to you first time, really all we had seen was a couple of videos on YouTube, of y'all performing at school. And now, I've seen the full number of songs. I think I think I have like 16 different tracks that were on there. And I guess my question to you is, how do you feel about the finished product? Because this came from you. That we brought all this talent in, and now you've got a finished project, finished product. How do you feel now that we have gone through that process, Henry?
If it feels great to be honest, like I'm really satisfied with the album, but I think I don't know if I want to say finished because eventually I do hope to get it to Broadway one day. I don't know when, but like I'd love to see it up there, with Wicked and Matilda and just see it on Times Square, like advertising taxi cabs, hopefully.
Let me tell you
Well,
something.
that
I've
would bring a
never
lot
been
of
to New
attention.
York. I've never been to New York, but if it makes it to Broadway, I think I'll have to make my first trip there.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Well, me too. I'll meet Brad at the station and I'll protect him, you know what I mean? Because he'll be like Midnight Cowboy wandering around. Everybody's
I'm walking
talking at me.
here.
Thankfully, New York is not like how it was in Death Wish, not yet.
Thank
It's not.
goodness.
You know what's great funny about New York is I'm from Philadelphia, so we're a little rough around the edges too. So if you go there expecting everybody to be pleasant and say wave hi and all that, you're going to think the people are rude. But the people aren't really rude. They're actually great. I love New York. It's just that it's not a small town. You're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna be able to make friends with everybody. But I'm a big fan of New York. And if you got that thing to Broadway, it would bring a lot of attention to Charles Bronson and maybe even to our podcast. You know what I mean? So But
Yeah,
me,
for
me and
sure.
Brad would like to sit up in the balcony like those two old guys on the Muppets.
Uh, the critics, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I was actually b born in New York City, so it would be great, to have, my very own musical premiere there because I've been like watching Broadway plays there since I was young, and whenever I can, I watch them here at the Pantages in Hollywood. So hopefully, I get to see my own project up there.
I had just had a great idea.
Oh,
If it gets to Broadway or if it doesn't get to Broadway, this week in Charles Bronson, well, I think we should have our first ever live event, a sing along to this, the way they do the Wicked movie. I'm serious.
sure, yeah,
Brad, why are you laughing?
I'd be down for. Are you talking? Oh yeah, the Wicked movie that just came out. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be down for it.
yeah, like everybody just show, like everybody, because I mean, right now, uh, like I don't know if our, like it's my fault. I think we need to promote this a little better, but if we get all everybody in our socials involved with this, like listening and all that, like. We could get a good group of people together. We might have to take it on the road because our listeners are all over the place. You know what I mean? We might have to just load up the van and get out there, The Charles Bronson More Than a Vigilante sing along.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I've been fortunate. I have some great friends of mine who's been promoting it, and so has a lot of the cast of the concept album, and my family too. I'm really grateful for all of them because they've shown how much they care and they're trying to spread the word.
Do you have a musical background? Is your parents into musicals or anything like that?
No, no, but like my mom is a playwright and just about the musical aspect, but she's phenomenal. But I just wanted to like I want to write musicals. I think I told you like when I was young, I actually wrote one when I was little. It was an adaptation of Casablanca, but I was like 10 years old.
Wow, that's awesome. You're kind of an old soul. Like you
Yeah, that's
yeah.
pretty good. I've
Brad,
always loved like old films, to be honest.
But
Every
I gotta
Christmas we watch It's a Wonderful Life, and like
oh
eventually
yeah.
got to the Bronson films.
Well, that's what I'm like too. It's funny, like you see a guy with a gray beard and all that, but I mean, I watched like I was born in '75, but like just when Christmas time comes around, I'm looking for like Christmas Carol from like 1932, and I'm looking at It's a Wonderful Life and Meet Me in St. Louis. I'm a big Judy Garland. Like you would think, what I mean, like you might think I was gay as much as I like Judy Garland, but I'm not.
I love Judy Garland too.
Oh, Mike, there we go. This week in Judy Garland. Before we move on to the next question, I actually want to ask Brad a question because I'm really interested in knowing, and I'm wondering if it's going to be the same as mine. Do you have a favorite song on this album?
I, I I put asterisks. I went by and I went through each song. I do have a favorite song on here. Yes. And
What is it?
I like
I'm wondering if
several
it's
of
my
them.
favorite. What's that?
I like several. I mean, I like the songs. There were several of them that I asterisked because they really specifically stood out to me.
Well,
But the one
name.
I
Let's go through your top five. But first, tell me what your favorite is. I want to see
My
if maybe
favorite
I'll.
one is
Yeah,
Toshiro and I.
Oh
that's my
yeah,
favorite.
Toshiro
That's
and
my
I is
favorite.
my favorite song. Yes.
That is
thank
my favorite too. That's my favorite too, because one, now you're drawing attention to Shira Mifune or Mifune, who is another name that's almost forgotten. But you also go into great detail about the film Red Sun, which is not one of Charles Bronson's most popular films, but me and Brad both believe it should be.
yeah.
And it's also a very important film because of it's also like a landmark type film because of the involvement with Mifune and Delon and I just thought I love that song and I love that Toshiro Don't Sing. Neither do I. I
Neither
can't do
do I.
Bronson. I love that. It's so catchy. I love that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. That was actually the first Bronson film I saw because but way before Bronson, I was interested in still kind of am like Japanese samurai culture and like how it, could connect with, Western culture. Like, Japan still it's still like living like back in time, whereas, America was like, evolving, but then you see Red Sun, samurai on the train with, Bronson, who's like this, badass cowboy. It just makes for a great story. And then that's how I started, to get into Bronson.
I remember from our last episode, Henry, where you made the point. I remember you kind of referred Toshiro as almost being like the Japanese Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
And and I hadn't heard this at that time, and I see now how deeply you believe that because you are drawing this line. It's almost like they're two sides of the same coin, the way you present the song. It was really
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean besides the mustache, but yeah, I think he is because he always plays like the tough guy in movies, but like you see his soft, sensitive side. He's not like emotionless.
And there's a thing I notice about musicals that are about people, but you want to tell the story of those people, but the song has to be catchy and it has to be kind of simple. And you kept that simplicity and that catchiness while telling a deeper story of America's involvement in World War II and the Japanese. But like, obviously, those are deep, dark issues. But you just touched on them the way you're supposed to in a musical. Like a musical, like you go see Last of the Red Hot Mamas. You're getting a very small behind the scenes look at um, that woman. I can't think of her name right now. Shit. But she was a very popular uh, vaudeville comedy singing act. You don't get her whole life story, and so like you were able to tell a story of Bronson, keep it simple and catchy, but also you wanted to obviously tell a story. You found his involvement in the World War II, the Japanese, and then that connection with Toshiro in World War II and all that. Like you found that important and you were able to relay that in a simplistic, entertaining, catchy way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, obviously the main message, he's more the vigilante, but I thought of putting, just some, other life messages in there because I know after World War II there was still a lot of hatred towards Japanese people, but Bronson didn't seem to mind, and so I thought the song was like, we fought each other, and we might have shot each other, but now we can be friends or at least
Mhm.
acquaintances without
Mhm.
hating each other.
Yeah, it's really, really
It's
a
a-
good song. Uh,
It is. It's funny. I had a feeling that was going to be both of our favorites. And
yes.
I had a feeling for you because you're a bigger Toshiro fan than I am. Where I fall into the Lane DeLone camp. I don't know what it is. Even though Toshiro obviously it makes that film way. I mean, Elaine's involvement in that film is so small. But I just like I feel like you know. Uh, Farewell friend. Like I kind of found myself becoming that uh, obsessed with Elaine Delon, and you found yourself obsessed with Toshiro, and I just thought that was interesting.
Right. Do you mind if I mention another song I really like? And I just kind of like to get a little background from you on this one, Henry, if you don't
Yeah, no,
mind.
not at all.
Um, Never So Few is not one of the movies, it's not a movie that most Bronson fans think of very much.
Yeah.
But what you do in this song is you really hone in on the Frank Sinatra connection in that movie. And I love the album because you have Frank Sinatra singing that song. Was that all part of your initial project? Is that how you
Yeah,
saw that in the beginning?
it was. I imagine, Frank Sinatra to be singing. Like the irony is, it's the movie's called Never So Few, but it has like kind of like the biggest all-star cast with Steve McQueen, like, even George Takei has a cameo at one
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Can I say something real quick about
Yeah.
this? Me, life has been real busy lately with holidays and all that. So me and Brad didn't have any discussion before this. And the never so. I laughed. If you heard me laugh out loud, it's because never so few is the next thing I have written on the paper. And
No way.
it was basically the same thing. It was like I actually, as big of a Bronson fan as I am, I never thought of the importance of that film in his career. I always thought like Magnificent Seven, Great Escape, Dirty Dozen. But you're right. Like, look at the cast there, and that had to be a big milestone in his career too. And then and it like Red Sun, it's another one. Like you're introducing Bronson to people in a way that I can't imagine any other teenager would, and I appreciate that. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but But
No worries.
yeah, tell us about that. What like is that like? Tell us why that movie? Like, are you a big fan of it?
Yeah, I remember like when I was binge watching his films, I saw it and like honestly, he's a badass in it too. You see, he kind of has a temper and a big mouth, but like one part that I thought was like really awesome was like when the Japanese attack and like he's shooting at them, he runs out of bullets, so he grabs a table and like he throws it at them. Like I was thinking like, yeah, man, that's what I want to be. Not in combat, but like, it was just one of those scenes that like you just think is
You
pretty
just want to
awesome.
throw a table.
Nah,
Who who is singing there? The Frank Sinatra. Who is that, Henry?
a talented actor named Eric Peterson. I think he was known for this show Kevin something. Uh,
Kevin, I have it written down. I have it written down here because when I looked him up, I was surprised. I said, "Oh my God, I know that guy." It's called Kevin Can Go F Himself is the
oh
name of
yeah,
this
that's
show.
right.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a great show. I love that
like,
show.
Yeah, it's a comedy. He plays the Kevin character, and what it is, it's kind of like a look inside of like a one of those like King of Queens type shows or whatever. But it's like a woman is like trapped in that marriage, and it's like kind of like a look at like this isn't funny. This is I mean like if you look at a lot of sitcoms, it's either the husband or the wife trapped in an abusive marriage, basically. And that's kind of what the show is. And he's really funny. He's a funny guy.
Hmm.
And so he
Yeah.
was Sinatra. That's great. I do have people written down here. Before, well, actually, Brad, do you mind if I mention a song before you name
No, no,
another
you
one? Or?
go ahead. You go ahead because I kind of wanted to get in the weeds a little bit here so people could know, what more specifically because I didn't know when we did this the first time, I didn't know and I just want people to know how good this and how much detail is in this. So yeah, whatever you want to go to, go for it, Eric.
So, talking about our taking artistic license and talking about having a putting a social commentary in there without being too um, um, what the hell's don't get old, whatever you do, but without being too um, God Almighty, this is really bad getting older. Pretentious, and without putting like too much words into Charles' mouth, and or taking too much artistic license on what his stance would be on a social issue. Women matter. Uh, I think it's not only is it a good social message, but it's also something that I think needs to be brought up, and it's kind of what I thought when I started this podcast. Like we would get to these type of social uh, commentaries because some of the stuff in the movies is uh, problematic nowadays. And I also like, and before you talk about that song and what your thoughts were behind it, I like that the character Bronson's character kind of comes around a little bit because of Jill and because of and I feel like that's not uh, although you take an artistic license, that is really I think how I think Bronson I think Jill had that kind of effect on him, and I think you capture that in this song. Brad, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's one of the things I like about the song is because it's kind of funny at first when he's kind of like, I just want to do the script, you
Right.
know, because that's probably how I would be. I'd be like, I just want to do the script. Let's not cause a ruckus or what have you. But it's kind of nice. It's like, hey, we're not just going to do the script here. We're going to look past that. I think that is an important message in this area and then in other potential areas as well. So.
yeah, and truth be told, like they did actually went through with it. They filmed it, but I thought I just wanted to spread the message. Women should not be looked down upon and treated like objects because we talked about anti-racism in my musical, so we want to cover anti-sexism as well because they're both serious issues in this world, sadly. But yeah, and I feel like it really did. Bronson really did change because after Jill Ireland died, he knew he couldn't save her, but he still raised money to fight breast cancer, which
Right.
predominantly affects women.
Right. Bronson wasn't a perfect human being, and he was a product of his time. but he did good things.
He really did.
And I think women matter. Like some people might think, well, that's not what happened, and and that conversation probably didn't go on in 1970, whatever year that I forget what year that movie was, 77, I think, but
76.
76. But the thing is, it's a musical, and you're taking artistic license. And to me, I hear that song as if they were around today.
Yeah,
If they
that's
were around today, looking at that, and I really think that I think his love for women, especially Jill, would have turned him around. And he doesn't take this big, you know, 360, or is it 360, 180? He doesn't do this big 180 political correct turn. He just accepts it and
yeah.
kind of like, and I think that's, I believe if he was alive today and she was alive today, that you got it pretty close to how it would have went down.
I think yeah, that was the goal. Thanks. That was what we were aiming for.
Great. Well, I'm glad that you did something and that we understand it, and I hope other people understand it too, because I think a lot of people, they only know Bronson as Death Wish 3, Death Wish 4, Death Wish, 1.
Just,
Uh,
walking down the streets, shooting people, and like
right,
that's not who he is or was.
right. Well, one of Brad's favorite film, and one of my top five favorite films is a film called Hard Times, where he's a
Oh, that's great.
boxer. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, where he's in New Orleans, Depression
Mhm.
times. I think he's trying to make money to leave, and like James Coburn is like his master, where Bronson's like the apprentice. But yeah,
Mhm.
but like he's tough in it, but like you still see like he's a hard worker. It's not just him, punching people. You see different facial expressions.
I was wondering about Hard Times because and I don't know if it was just because it got good with the song or if you were actually referring to the movie, but I think it maybe have been might have been Bigger World out there where you're talking about, Bronson's in a rough place. There's not a lot of money to be made. And you actually talk about in these hard times.
Yeah, that was a shout out.
And I was wondering
That
if
was
that was
Easter egg.
specifically designed for that.
Good
Yeah.
catch, Brad. Good catch.
Yeah. I got an ear for things like that. It's like hard times. Yeah, I
I was
figured
hoping
it
I
was.
was hoping someone would catch that.
I didn't hear Mr. Majestic anywhere, but I did hear her. I
Yeah,
don't know how
but
you
That'll
yeah,
be the
get Mr.
sequel.
Majestic in.
That'll be the sequel. Me and Brad will be consultants on it. I think
yeah.
Hard Times probably should have been a bigger film for Bronson, and it should be more well known. I mean, being Walter Hill's first film.
Yeah, because it like
Brad,
it's interesting. It takes place during the Depression, but like he's an adult, but like during that time, he was just a kid, fighting to feed his family.
Right.
And he did
Mhm.
really go through hard times. It's not just like I mean, we all know about his childhood. He had to work in the coal mine at like 9 years old, and he left because of World War II and got shot in the arm. So really, like that's why I think he's a tough guy.
Mhm. Brad, did you want to, before we move on to the cast, what I have written down on paper, do you want to mention any of the other songs that you really liked? I mean, Bronson Don't Sing. Oh, before you name one, Brad, I love the mind. Don't go back to the leave the mind behind.
Oh
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that
leave the
one.
mind behind. Yes. Yeah.
Break the needs of the Japanese.
Yeah, it was.
Da-da-da.
I felt like it was appropriate for the time, and while they talk about it, while it sounds like kind of anti-Japanese, like it's why we like did Toshiro no Sing to show like how time has changed and how he changed.
Hmm.
But that was very smart of you, because when I heard leave the mind behind, and I heard, you know, stop the needs of the Japanese, and I thought, man, I wonder if he's going to get any, bad feedback about that.
Yeah,
But
I mean
but
that's a fair feeling, and that was a genuine concern too. But like that's why I feel like people need to listen to. Hopefully, they have is listen to Toshiro no Sing to show like this was not anti-Japanese and like how again how time changed and how he changed.
Right.
right.
the only other couple of songs I wanted to mention just quickly, just for my personal, and then I wanted to ask Henry a question is I just like the feel of "You Ought to Be an Actor." I
Oh
just
yeah.
like it's just such a laid back, easy going song. I just like how it feels. I like how in the Magnificent Seven, it's a rousing song. It's like really to me, it feels like you're paying homage to what Magnificent Seven. One of the main things it's known for is its rousing soundtrack, and I feel like y'all kind
Exactly.
of captured that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was, like it was like the Western music. Like I remember I was even playing it on the piano for my college for my college classmates one time, and they're like, that sounds like a Western song. Like it is.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you did a great. What is there a song in here now that we know these songs and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do our part to help spread the word on this to people that we have any influence with. Is there a song on here that really means? Is there a song for you, Henry, that really sticks out as one of your personal favorites? Just curious.
Maybe I couldn't beat the cancer, but like since that's one of the last songs, like it could be like a spoiler, and it is a sad song, and while like it's generally a sad and significant part, it's not what like the whole album is about. Maybe, I mean, if I were trying to promote it, maybe Bronson Don't Sing and Leave the Mind Behind.
Hmm. Yeah, those are great
Who
songs.
does the guitar? I love the guitar in the song Death Wish. And I love the way it's way in the background there. I like that sound.
I think there were two guys, Soren and Josh. But yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah, I love that sound. I have a very I'm a big fan of a guy named Van Dyke Parks. People would know him from his work with Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, but he does a lot of film scores. He produces a lot of old and new pop artists. But Lowell George of Little Feat did some guitar on some of his songs, and that's how they did it. They had it like because his songs are more like musical arrangements, and but the guitar would be real faint in the background there, but it would be really like bitching, really awesome, like shredding. And I really like that. I love that sound. Um, how about we talk about the cast here? Because of course we had Steven Weber. We talked about how great he is.
Yeah.
And if anybody's listening, I doubt that any of our listeners don't know who he is. But if we get any younger listeners, because we do have younger listeners, believe it or not. Thank God, because that's what's going to keep these names alive. Steven Weber is amazing. Um, I mentioned this on the last episode, but there's not a man my age who didn't once have a crush on Lisa Loeb. Uh, she was she was Jill. Is that correct?
Yeah, she was, and she was amazing.
Oh my God, Danny chuckled a little bit. Danny, you're a little bit younger. Is that funny that we liked Lisa Loeb, or did you have a crush
It
on her as well?
I was kind of pre-crush age, but it was such a very specific type of person where it was I knew Stay, it was massive and like it was all over the radio, but like
Yeah, I shouldn't say everybody my age, every dork my age.
yeah, I think that's why I was laughing. It was very much
Mhm.
announcing your type.
Yeah. We played Stay.
Yes.
I pulled up Stay on YouTube this morning. Just a little behind the scenes here, but my wife and I played it on our TV, Henry's album. I played the whole thing. My wife and I listened to every song. But I also, before I did that, I pulled up Stay because I could, I guess I'm not as dorky as Eric, I guess, because, I didn't remember Lisa quite as well. And we're about the same age.
So
So,
you were cool. You were like a jock
no,
and
I
everything.
wasn't cool. I was not
I
cool.
was
I'm
like that
Charles Bronson's biggest
alternative
fan in
punk rock
13.
nerd. I
Yeah,
was
he
like
was all like
alternative
giving
punk
people
rock
rug
nerd.
burns and swirlies and
No, I was
Yeah.
not, Daddy, I promise. I would have been the recipient of the rug burn.
did
But
either of you venture into her kids' music when you had young kids?
I've heard some of it because not when I had young kids. I used
Just on
to
your own.
on my own as an alcohol when I used to drink as an alcoholic. I would listen to almost every night to Kids Corner on XPN, which is a local college station,
Yep.
because I loved Kids Corner. I loved Trout Fishing in America. They Might Be Giants did
Oh,
some kids music.
there's a few
Yeah.
bands. I mean,
Yeah,
there might be
I
Giants for
love the
sure.
Mighty
Yeah.
Giants.
Is
Like,
Kids Corner a national thing or is it just Philadelphia?
I don't know. I think it's syndicated out of Philadelphia, so it could be in other markets, but it's located here.
You guys
But
mind giving me a second? Give me a second. You say you only hear what you want, but I don't listen hard. Don't pay attention to that you're running to anyone, anywhere will stop the needs of the Japanese. Okay, sorry. But
just
yeah, it
I don't
was
know.
a
Should we have given him that second,
for
Henry?
for the sake of for crossover for myself, there's a handful of fun Lisa Loeb covers for that song. One she did with Newfound Glory, where she did it with them. So
really
they kind of do it as a duet, and then the one from the end of Hot Tub Time Machine, where Craig Robinson is basically saying he wrote "Stay," so it's
Oh
him
yeah,
doing just a
that's
like
an underrated comedy.
I
that's a
really
good
enjoy that
film.
movie. Yeah. I like that movie more with time too, because like at the time everything had to matter, and like that was the first time something came out where it was like, oh good, we're just making dumb comedy again after like a decade of not. And now
Right.
that like that whole swing kind of happened, and it's like, oh, this is still better than a lot of the stuff that it ushered back in. Like it feels
Uh,
better now than it did then.
What's his name? Um, oh my God, the guy from the Daily Show when he does the Motley Crue thing at the end.
Oh yeah, uh,
What's the hell's his name?
Rob Corddry.
Rob. Yeah, Rob. Is it Rob Cord? Who gives a shit? Anyway, Dean. Speaking of comedic people, Dean Edwards is on here from Saturday Night Live. But he was. I didn't know this. He was on. He was an actor for a while before Saturday Night Live. He did Melrose Place, and he was even on The Sopranos.
Yeah, and I know he was also I don't know which one, but he was in the Spider-Man movie and
Spider-Man 3.
yeah, Spider-Man 3, and he played Donkey in his Shrek Halloween special because Eddie Murphy wasn't available.
oh, really?
Yeah.
So who was he? Who
That
was
was
he in the show on your album?
He was Bronson's friend in the gym who was telling him that he should be an actor.
Okay,
Nailed
okay.
it.
Let me ask you one more here, and then I'm going to let Brad ask a couple things. I do have to get out of here like at 2 o'clock on the dot because I coach my son's basketball and we got to get there. But
Oh, nice.
Max Max Adler. First of all, it shows that I saw that he was on Glee, which was a show that I really enjoyed with my wife. But also that last name Adler. Is he from the famous Adler family, like Lou Adler and all them?
I don't know.
Or do you,
I was never really familiar with his work, but I think he did an amazing job. So like that was my first
what was
impression.
it? And what did he do?
He played Alain
Who,
Delon.
really great, awesome. You know, there's not enough about this on the internet. I had to download Reddit to read some about it, which I hate
Oh, it's
Reddit.
on
Well,
Reddit.
I don't hate Reddit, but yeah, I downloaded it and all it was somebody sharing. It just said it was somebody sharing it. It wasn't an article or anything. So I went and installed Reddit just for that. But um we got to get some more awareness of this out there because I really do see this coming to Broadway and you know maybe to the movie theater and we have sing-alongs and
That would be
all
awesome.
that. Brad,
And yeah, just like Wicked, I would hope
yeah,
that sometime in the distant future or maybe near future, this could turn into a movie as well, a musical movie.
yeah. Okay, my son is here. Yes, he can, but you have to get your basketball uniform on right now because we have to leave at like a little after like 2:30. Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Um,
Henry, what about
yeah,
that
and that would
show
be. I feel like
there?
that would.
Oh, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric. I thought you were done. I was going to ask Henry
No, go
something.
ahead. I was just saying real quick that if that happened, this being on Broadway and all that, it would really vindicate me and Brad. Like I mean, a lot of people, we're out there like doing this, trying to keep Bronson's name alive, and so I think some people see us as a kind of a joke, and that would really like we now some people would be like, oh wow, Eric and Brad were ahead of their time. But
Yeah,
go
that
ahead, Brad.
would
What
be
were you going to
very
say?
vindicating. 'Cause like the fact that you are a comedian, everyone's like, he must be doing this for fun. And it's the same thing I run into with the premises for both of my shows because, they could be silly, but
Yeah,
they're not. We're not doing them silly.
and
So like eventually people
everybody
are like, oh, this is good. This is just good.
Right, right. And you know what? In the beginning, I thought it would be more. I wasn't making fun of Bronson, but I thought it'd be more humorous than it is, and it is humorous when I sing Lisa Loeb and all that. But it became very important to me, and I enjoy that. It makes me feel. It makes this important. I like that this feels important to me. I like education, and I like to keep names alive out there. So, Brad, what were you about to
Well,
say?
I was about to ask Henry about his shirt. You mentioned
Uh,
earlier that you had that shirt and it's the album. Is that something that I can buy now, or do you see something in the future with
uh,
that? Or
not currently, but yeah, I see it in the future, sooner or later. Yeah, you should be. We can get copies out to you guys.
Who did the artwork, and maybe there'll be stickers too in the future.
The artwork was done by someone who works with my producer named Mario, who like he's a great artist, and so we hired him, and like he really did a great job of drawing Bronson and like making it look authentic.
He
hmm
captured he captured him because I'm going to say not only do a lot of people impersonate him poorly, but a lot of artists draw him poorly. Even some of the movie posters back from the old days were like really bad. Like he did a really good job.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, yeah, and I'm not a great artist. Like, I probably could not draw him, or I could, but it would look goofy. And we're trying to make this serious.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
think
do
his
think
family I
this.
think his family would be really proud of this, and we're going to introduce Lindsay to this, and maybe we'll have you back on with Lindsay sometime so you can meet her.
I
I think
like
she'd
that.
love you. Yeah.
She's
You
Jill
got to get a
Ireland's
copy of
niece.
her book.
Is
What's that?
she is she Jill Ireland's niece?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
And she's aware. I know she knows about the album. She watched our first episode that we did together, so I know that she's aware of this, and everything. And she's very supportive of the project. I know
Oh,
that. So
that means a lot.
She told me, I don't remember if she told me on the air or off the air. She told me off the air that Val told her about it. And her book is called Why Not Me? It's about her it's about a childhood disease that she had, and also a disease. She also got um, diagnosed with another disease, and MS, in her adulthood years. But her summers were spent um, with Charles Bronson and Jill Ireland. So there's a lot about her summers with them in there. So it was really a touching episode, and to show her that we were serious and not a joke. She watched our interview with you, so you guys have a connection there.
No,
So she
I
knows
love
her. How
I
cool is that?
appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's neat. They know who we are. You know what I mean? Like, I know Bronson's daughter. I'm not going to say her name because she's very private, but she's not interested in any of this, and that's fine. I left her alone. I mean, I bugged her once, and it was obvious she is not interested in any of this, and that's fine. That's fine. We don't want to. I don't want to bother people. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
I know
But I just
Henry.
hope that they know. I just hope that they know that people do respect and love her father and their father and their mother, um, and that not everybody is facetious about it or making a joke about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, this isn't satire.
Mhm. Brad,
No.
any closing statements or arguments?
Well, I don't really have any closing statements. I think you've pretty much, answered the things that I was just wondering about as far as this. The only other thing that I was thinking about was, I want to promote this. Like I said, I don't have this strong reach, but I have some reach, and I don't know. Is there any specific type of materials that you would like me to share? Because I can always go out and grab links to YouTube videos and things like that. But if there was anything that you more specific you'd like for me to share, I'd be glad to.
I appreciate that. I think as of now we can only like share the music from Spotify and Apple Music. Just sharing the songs or yeah, links for YouTube videos.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do that.
Thank you.
We're definitely going to do that. Brad, I don't want us to leave if you had like anything else that you wanted to ask or anything like that.
No, we've covered everything. I really just wanted to delve more into now that I've heard the album and I just wanted Henry to I appreciate it so much more now than I did the first time we talked because
Me
I've
too.
heard all the
I do too.
songs and I think this thing could make a great Broadway musical because it really covers the gamut of emotions. It really does. It's got
Hmm.
humor, it's got hard times, it's got humorous times, it's got, you know, heartbreak, it's got triumph. I just think that you've created something clever, but also very emotionally satisfying. And I just want you to know how much as a Charles Bronson lifelong fan, appreciate that.
I really and I appreciate that. Yeah, that was the goal all along. So it feels great that, that's accomplished.
And I agree with Brad. I agree with Brad 100%. I couldn't put it into better words myself. And I just want to add to that that is not easy. It's not easy to write a musical because you do have to have all those things. You can't just have musical talent, and you just can't. You know what I mean? So I want to just mention Stephen Glickman as well. I mean, amazing work that he did on there, and I've been following him on Instagram and stuff like that, and he's such a fun guy to follow.
Yes.
What a life! He's a singer, he's a comedian, he's an actor. He's every time and I never heard of him until this. And I'm going to be honest, I never heard of him until this. And I'm just like, I'm taken aback by him. I'm just like, wow. And I was like, started following him because I was gonna bug him about being on the show. And then I just was like, you know what, this guy, like I know my boundaries, and I was just like, you know what, this dude's living the best life. Like I'm just gonna stand and see here in the background and watch. Like I just get such a joy out of watching that guy go through life. What a neat dude.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's a great guy.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I go on Instagram and he's playing piano with somebody, and he's singing here or he's doing comedy there, and I'm just like, this guy,
Very
he's the whole
versatile. I admire him.
the total. Yeah, that's how, back way before we were born. That's what show business was. You had to be the total package. That guy's he's like a something from the 40s, you know what I mean? Like a singer, actor,
Oh,
dancer. He
exactly.
probably dances too. Who the fuck knows? Oh, excuse my language.
No,
That's a Philadelphia coming. Cut that F word out of there, Dan. No, Danny.
I'm gonna triple it.
Yeah, yeah, we're from Philly. Oh God. But listen, do not be a stranger, young man, young Master Brooks. Please come back. I'll be on the show again. We'll have to just do a movie with you. One. I know I said that last time, but we're gonna have to do that, right,
well,
Brad?
thanks. Yeah, I'd be up for it for sure.
He was up for
Awesome.
Death Hunt. I know he was up for Death Hunt
I
last
Yeah,
time
I
we
know.
saw
watched
that.
it.
We can talk about that next time.
You
Yeah.
saw it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. And I just want to say thank you for listening to This Week in Charles Bronson. Check me out on Substack, Our Daily Lead. It's just me writing about whatever. Sometimes it's Bronson, sometimes it's not. Brad is writing some great stuff for Through the Shattered Lens. Check us out on Facebook. We have a great Facebook page. We do Twitter and Instagram, but our Facebook page is where most of the stuff goes down. And please, by all means, February, you said it's coming out the record?
It should be, yeah.
Yeah. All right,
I can't
February
wait.
or March. Make sure you grab it. We're going to promote the hell out of it.
All
And I
right.
know our people are going to listen. And subscribe to this goddamn thing, please. This podcast, as they
Subscribe.
call it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Henry.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for having me.